We've been having some amazing weather here in the UK recently, and now that it looks like it could tip down any moment, I thought it's got to be the perfect time to make a kids sandpit. Seriously though, the kids will be breaking up from school really soon, so I'm going to show you how to make this sandpit just in time for the 6 weeks holidays. It's really simple to make. You'll have a 4 foot by 4 foot sandpit that you can cover, and you can open the covers to form 2 benches to sit on. It's really simple to do. Here's how to do it. For the construction of the sandpit, I'm going to be using decking boards. Now the decking that I'm using measures 12 centimetres wide by 2.4 metres long. Now the sandpit that I'm making is going to be 1.2 metres wide by 1.2 metres wide, so it's going to be nice and easy to just cut the boards in half. The first job is to take 4 of these decking boards, cut them in half to make the frame. I just need to cut another 3 in exactly the same way now. Now that I've got the pieces of decking cut to form the outer frame, I just need to cut some blocks that I can put in the corners to help join it all together. For the blocks, I'm going to be using 38mm square material. I'll show you what it's like. You will find this timber alongside or close to where you get the decking from as well, so it's nice and easy to find. So I went ahead and I cut the first block, and it's been cut to length so it matches how wide 2 of these decking boards are when they're butted up next to each other. These will get secured to this block with a couple of screws per board. I need 3 more of these pieces. Let's get them cut. Now we can start on the actual assembly of the frame. So I've got 4 of these corner pieces. I'm just going to lay out the 3 just to help to raise these boards off the table. This is the piece that I'm actually going to secure in place for now though. So if I just lay these boards on top, make sure that they're butted up right next to each other. Then I want this piece directly on the corner, right at the very edge. So I want to make sure that it's flush, these are butted up, it's nice and flush at the side. So now I can drill a couple of pilot holes for each of the decking boards. And now I can drive in a couple of screws to each of the boards as well. Now I can do the exact same thing to the other side of these boards. Well, that was nice and easy. I just need to make another one exactly like this now. So we got the 2 side panels done. The next step is to join them together with the remaining decking boards. Now this step can be a bit awkward, especially if you're doing it on your own. So if there is an extra pair of hands around to help you, by all means, do get that help. But it is possible to do it yourself, especially if you've got something like a table that you can rest the pieces up against just while you're standing it all in place. But basically we've got the 2 sides, and to join them together, we're going to be using the other decking board pieces, and they're going to be attached on either end like this, obviously butted up against the corner. Same procedure, drill a couple of pilot holes, add a couple of screws, make sure it's all butted up and square, and that's the outer frame done. If you just attach the board to 1 screw first, it still gives you some wiggle room, so you can twist it and make sure it's all square before coming back and adding the 2nd screw to just secure it all in place. And now that I'm happy with the positioning of all the pieces, I can go back round and add an extra screw per board per corner. So at this point now, you could stop if you wanted to. Here's a sandpit. You just put your liner in, kind of liner to stop weeds coming through, add your sand and job's done. Maybe put some paint on to protect it, add a bit of colour. But I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to now add some more decking across the top to not only offer some cover to the sand, stop the cats getting in if you know what I mean, but also have it so you can open it and form some seating. So we need a few more boards of decking. So with the extra boards, I'm going to offer them up, mark. They should literally be just cut in half again because the dimensions are the same for what I did for the frame. Cut them in half, lay them out, and see what we're looking at. So I've gone ahead and cut the boards in half. So now I can just lay them out and see what kind of gap I'm dealing with. And the gap we're looking at is 3 centimetres. So in between each one, the first 2 at either end, I'm going to have no gap. They'll be in place solid. So then it's going to be slightly less than 5 mil per board, just to give a little bit of wiggle room, and it'll close up this middle gap. To make sure I've got an equal space in between each of the boards, I'm just going to use some screws. These can sit in between each of the joins, and these will just make sure that they're all equally separated while I get the battens and the hinges attached. So at the minute, I've got the hinges just roughly laid out. I want to make sure that they're equally spaced from either of the edges. So I'm just going to measure. This measurement isn't critical. Let's go 15 centimetres in from the edge. Those hinges aren't going to be enough of a support for the seat on their own. So I've cut some more braces, and these are actually the exact same size as the pieces I cut for the corners of the outside frame. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take the corners off and then sand them nice and round, just so them a lot nicer to the touch, because obviously you don't want any splinters, because these will actually be exposed wherever the kids are sitting. So they could even look like little armrests really. After some sanding, those will be much nicer to the touch. So with the folding seat section sorted out, I need to turn my attention to the backrest. Now the backrest is just going to be one single decking board. This should be plenty. I don't really see the kids leaning back on it all that much. They're going to be leaning forward playing in the sand, but if they do want to lean back, at least there's something there to offer up some support. So what I need to do is add some smaller hinges, especially smaller compared to the other ones I put on, because this is only spanning one board. So I'm going to get this lined up. I'm going to measure again. It's not critical by any means, but I'm going to make sure. Let's go with 10 centimetres. I'll go with 10 centimetres in from the edge. Make sure it's sitting just over the join, and I can secure that in place with some screws. Can do the same on the other side now. Now to attach these hinges to the seat portion itself is quite awkward, especially on your own. But if you've got an extra pair of hands, by all means get them to help you, because it'll save a lot of time and a lot of faffing about. But it is possible to do it on your own if you just persevere. To help fully support the backrest and make sure it just doesn't tip too far backwards, I'm adding some oversized battens. I'll cut these in the exact same way as I cut the battens for the seat portion, and that's just going to get secured in place with a couple of screws on each side. Now that backrest is rock solid. These braces will add a ton of strength. Plus, they'll also double as handy handles. Can do the same on the other side now. So what I've done off camera is I've gone round all the edges and sanded them nice and smooth. I've removed any sharp corners, any loose splinters, anything like that, because obviously last thing you want is the kids to get a splinter or to catch themselves on a corner. So all of these have been sanded nice and smooth, and it's ready for paint. Now you could use an outdoor garden paint on this, you could use a wood preserver. It's totally up to you what you do to make this design your own. You could leave it just as this bare wood. Timber for decking is typically already treated, so it should stand up to the elements. But if you want to give it its best chance for lasting as long as possible, you are best to add some kind of preservative or protective paint on top. I'm going to go with a regular garden paint. I'm going to go with the blue shade. I think it'll suit this nice, but like I say, do what you want to suit your garden. It's all right, this is. Seat solid, backrest really strong. I think the height is going to be just right, even for me. Just that bit of support right at the base of your spine. It's ideal because you're going to be bending forward, playing in the sand. I think it's going to work really well. And then of course, when you're done and you want to cover the sand up, it's just a case of folding these back down. And these back braces, which hold the back from tipping too far backwards, work great as handles as well when you do want to open it back up. So I've saved you having to watch me paint it. It's really tricky painting decking, getting in all the little grooves and getting between the boards. So it's one of those, it's going to take you a long time, but it's well worth it in the end. I really like this shade of blue, but like I said, of course you could do it any colour, use a wood preserver instead rather than a paint. The choice is yours, but I think it looks a lot better like this. I've also gone ahead and added some liner inside the sandpit. This is just regular landscaping liner, the sort of stuff that'll stop weeds coming through in the garden. I would go ahead and cut it to size and staple it if it was staying here, but it's not. This is going to go to a friend's house eventually. So I've left the liner in its full size and I've just bunched it up for now just to give a bit of a demonstration. But you'd cut it to size and staple it to the sides of the boards just to make sure it doesn't all fold in on itself. And of course, when it comes to choosing what type of sand to put in, you must make sure that it's play sand, sandpit sand, sand that's okay for kids to play in. You don't want to be using regular builder's sand by any means. Don't just put anything here. Make sure you're using the proper stuff. I got this from B&M, £2.50 a bag. It's not too bad. Let's get it filled up, well, as far as I want to, because I've got to shift it all again after. I really hope that this project has inspired you. There's plenty of time to get one of these made just in time for the 6 weeks holidays. So I hope you give it a go. And if you do give it a go, please let us know in the comments down below. And if you post any pictures on social media, be sure to tag On a Budget because we absolutely love to see what you get up to. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you click the subscribe button and then click the little bell icon next to it. That way you'll get a notification as soon as you upload a new video. Thank you all for watching. I've got to get all this sand up now. I've got to clear it all away. Got to get it in my car somehow and then get it to my mate's house. I don't know, wish me luck.